So this lesson, we're going to learn how to combine multiple images together and how to get rid of the background of one image and bring it into another image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you some examples of students' work in the past. So I pulled up 4 examples from last year that students were able to do. So I call it the green screen because in my classroom I do have a green screen and that's what we were using. But we're going to see if we can make this work for whatever you have at home as well and some tools that you can use. So here's one example, and another. And think of these as fun and goofy and playful. Don't take these too seriously, and but try to be as creative as possible when you're doing these. So let's take a look at the things we need to learn about for working with green screen and also working with photo collage. So there's some ideas to think about. So what I did is I took 2 photographs. You can see I put them in my drive. I took one with a black background, so it's more realistic to maybe what you can do at home. And then I also took one with a green screen. I kind of wanted to compare it and see which ones were easier and which ones are harder, and why people use the green screens in the first place. So we're going to play around with that. Also, I want to teach you some tools on how to find other images from the internet to be able to use to make your collage. So when you're doing a search, and I wanted to use the US Capitol building, so I do the US Capitol building, and I want images, of course. Now here's the problem. A lot of times students will just choose the first one that they find or whatever it is, but I need you to go over to tools and look up size. And you want to find large size because that's going to have the best high quality. You don't want to use anything that's medium or small, especially since you're using really nice quality images that you've shot with your phone or with your camera. And I'm going to find one that I like, and I click on it. And then below you can see how large it is. It is 2,754 square, so that is a nice size. So I open this up. And then I'm going to right click on it. And on Chromebooks, it's just touch with 2 fingers, and you do save image as. And it's always a good idea. Whoops, that's not right. Notice how this one shows up as a web file. That's not going to help me. So I'm going to have to go find a different file. Let's go back here, right click on it, and save image as. And that is a JPEG file. So you want to make sure it's a JPEG or a PNG that you're working with. What I was finding was a web file, and that won't work for you. So I'm going to call this Capitol JPEG. Okay. So now I've got that one saved, and I'm ready to start doing some fun editing. The first thing I need to do is pull up Pixlr. Remember, we're doing the advanced version and we're not logging in. So just Pixlr E to get started. I like to start with my background image first. This is my old project. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. I'm start with my background first. So actually on my computer, it shows up right here. I can just drag this in and drop it. And I want it to be, I think, let's go with the original for now and see how that looks. That's a large file size. I'm going to click apply. Okay, so here's my image. And then I want to bring in the picture of me and to be able to sit on top of this. All right, so the first thing I need to do is I need to alter the one of me and so that I don't have the background in there anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and find the image. I'm going to open it up. And actually, I haven't downloaded it yet. Oh, here it is. I did. Okay, so I'm going to create a new one. So, okay. So here's the option. You've got, do you want to add this image as a layer in the current document, or do you want to create a new? Yes, we want it as a layer because we want it to be on top. So I don't want to create a whole nother project. I want to add to the current project. So I click add to current. There I am, looking fantastic. That's my green screen version. I'm going to also bring in the black screen version to see. I'm going to see how difficult that one is to do. So I'm going to start with the green screen one, and you can see over here on my layers, I've got my 3 layers. I've got the background image, the green screen image, and the black screen image. I can get rid of the view of one of them so that I'm only working with one. So let's start working with the green screen first. I'm going to unview the black screen one. So now I just click that and it takes away that layer. So I'm working with this layer now, and I want to see how I can get rid of this green. So let's look at some of the tools that I have. I want to try, the first thing I want to do is try the green select tool or the color select tool. The reason I want to do the color select tool is because I've got this obnoxious green color in the back and nothing else on my body is green. So it should work fairly well. That's why reporters and everybody uses green, is because not many people wear this type of green. So in my other lessons, you learned how we could do a lasso, and you could try and lasso around here, but that actually ends up being very hard. What I'm going to try to do here is use a color picker. So I click color picker, and I want to select that color. You see here, I click on it and it has selected that color. Let's get this out of the way, which is really nice. Now I can use other tools. So what tool can I do with this? As you see, the nice thing about the color picker is it chooses that color for you and it has it set up here. So if you ever needed to add that color to something else in your picture, you could do that really nicely. So we've learned about the marquee select here. We've learned about the lasso select. The next thing is called the wand select. So it's similar to the color picker, which we did here. So we do wand select. And up here we have some options. We have a tolerance and we have a feather. We've already learned what feather is. And the tolerance is like, how easily do you want me to select these green colors that you push? Okay, so I could have a high tolerance or a low tolerance. Let's start out with the default, which is 32, and see what happens. I just click in the space. Oops. We're good. And right now, you see what happened? I'm actually on the black screen, even though it's not visible. I'm actually selecting the black screen, so that was my fault. I need to come to the green screen layer and then choose the green here. So let's go to select, deselect. Okay, so I'm on the green screen layer, right? I'm on the correct layer. I've got my wand select. Get rid of this add. Okay, so now I clicked it once and it has selected the tolerance level of all the green inside of here. But it did not select this deep colored green here or back in here or even down in here. So it wasn't, that's because I have shadows behind my head. So a real green screen, you'd want it to light it really nicely and evenly so that it's easy to get out. So actually shining a light on that green screen would have been better. So let's just try and see what happens if I increase the tolerance to 58. I'm going to click in. Okay, so you can see it's created a different selection here, which is nice. It gets more of the darker colors. So that is the new tolerance level. But you do notice it is going into my hair a little bit, and I'm not liking that. So I think that the tolerance level is too high. So I'm going to go back down to a lower tolerance. I'm going to select my color. And I'm going to work with this a little bit at a time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click delete, and it's going to delete those colors a little bit at a time. So then I go to the new section and delete. So I'm working with a smaller tolerance. I'm when I'm getting those green colors, and make sure you don't get, ooh, that's a nice one. Delete. As you can imagine, it might be a challenge to do the black because I have a black mask on. And that was way too much. Delete. So I feel like I've done a pretty good job here. You can see there's some green in here that I didn't get to. And I think I'm just going to leave it as is for now. Okay, so make sure you go off of that, go back to your selection tool. And now I can start to arrange this picture. Whoops, Control Z. I am going to deselect because I don't want to do that. But I do want to start to move this green screen layer right here. So I'm going to move this to the bottom corner so it makes more sense. It didn't make sense for my square body to be hanging out in the middle of the picture. Instead, it makes more sense to be at the bottom. So this is all I'm requesting of you to be able to do for this assignment. Come in and clean up. If you need to come in and clean up like little edges here, you could come in with your eraser tool and you could expand this to make it really large so that you can see inside. And you can start to use your, whoops, Control Z. I was on the wrong one. There we go, I'm on the right layer now. And I can come in and do some detail erasing. It's better to work with a mouse. I'm doing it with just my trackpad right now and it's not very good. So you can come in and do some controlled green screen removal as well here. All right, so that is the requirement for this. You're going to export it as a JPEG, just like you did before. Let me zoom this out so you can see. Looking good, Ms. Estabrook. Okay, so just to let you know, if you want to take it further, you could always add another image that you want to add right here. You could also search for pictures that are PNGs with transparent backgrounds to make it easier. And I do want you to make sure for this assignment that you do use one photograph that you have taken and one that has been collaged into. So at least one of the pictures needs to be something that you took. But I think the second picture can be something that you appropriate from the internet as long as it's a large file and it is school appropriate. For those of you who are curious and want to see how it looks when I try doing this with the black background, you might want to try a white background. Would probably be better than a black background, but that's what I had. So you see my layers over here, and I want to work on my black screen now. So I'm going to click on black screen, so I'm on that layer. Right now you can't see it because I don't have it visual, so I'm going to click that you can see it. And I don't want the visual of the green screen anymore, so I'm just going to get rid of that. And then go back up to my black screen and make sure that's the one I'm editing in. So let's try this again and see what happens. All right, so I've got my image up here. I am going to choose my wand select here. And I'm gonna click on this layer and notice what it does. It takes my mask with it, which I'm not a big fan of that, right? So I don't like that. So what are some that I can do to figure this out? So I could try to select only an area. I could change the tolerance. Let's try that first because that's the easiest thing to do. Let's try changing the tolerance. Go to select, deselect. And again, you can start to clear the areas. You got a lower tolerance here. It will take longer, but it's not going to go all the way down to the mask this time. And as long as you get around the edge of the head, you can just erase the outside part. So what you're going to have to do is just use a lower tolerance so it does not want to jump onto your shirt or onto your mask. Or try to make sure you use a background. If you use a white background, that you're not wearing much white in your shirt to make it easier too. It's going to get tricky down here. I'm liking what it's doing right now, though. It's looking pretty good. Okay, so I'm not going to show you everything here. What I'm going to have you do after this is obviously just take the eraser, change the brush size, and start to get rid of some of that other unnecessary. Oh, I could go a lot. Oops, gotta deselect first. Select. So actually this brush is kind of too small. Let's go to a larger brush size. And we're going to erase here. All right, so I'm not going to show you any of that going forward. I would just show you it's a little bit more difficult. For this last segment, I'd like to add one more picture to this, and this is optional for you to do. Let's take a look and see if I can find maybe a Bernie picture in here. And I want to add it to the current. So this is going to be my third layer. Got my green screen layer. And this is fantastic because I've already got him nice and small. It's actually a really good size right here. It just happened to be that way. That was an accident. But I do need to zoom in and see if I can get rid of any of these extra layers that I have around him. So let's see what the magic wand can do. How much does the magic wand know how to crop out around Bernie? Well, actually, let's do this. Let's just make this really easy and simplify things. I am going to do a free select. Sorry. Select. Okay, I'm going to do a free select right here. This is just free. I'm going to just briefly go around him. Finish that up. And I'm going to invert the selection. And then I'm going to delete. Okay, so now I'm only working with this part of him. That makes it a lot easier to use that magic wand. I don't have to do so much work. So now I'm going to come here to the magic wand and I'm going to change my tolerance because he's got kind of a dark shirt on. I think these light colors around him will work out nicely. And I can start to delete around here. Oh, once I get into his hair. So I might have to change the tolerance in sections where his hair is like the same color as the background. So I've done a nice job of cleaning up. As most part, when I got up here, I did the tolerance a lot lower. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with my eraser tool and just clean up around here. So I'm going to deselect, so make sure I don't have any selected pixels. I'm going to make sure my brush is nice and big. And I'm just going to come up around and start to erase some of these extra lines that I have up here. Okay, so let's scroll back out and see what we're looking at right here. Not bad. I do think I need to move him down. Bernie. Let's go down. There we go. Now he's bouncing on my finger. And that's Miss Estabrook holding Bernie on her finger in front of the U.S. Capitol. Don't forget to export. Go to File, Export, and save. We're going to save this as a JPEG. Have fun with this. Oh, it's called editing number 5. Number 5. And demo.